Yamaha WR250R. What's all the hype about? Why do so many people love this bike? Yet, I can't help but want to buy a KTM 690 again. Alright guys, let's cut to the chase. This thing is slow and underpowered. It does often leave you disappointed. You will find yourself wanting more power. You will find yourself coming back from a ride and going online looking at KTM 690s thinking, 70 horsepower sounds pretty good. You know, but a lot of people do say, you know, there's only a certain amount of power you can actually put to the ground, and that is a load of shit. You always want more power. You know, I've actually strapped on an FMF pipe for about 500 bucks, and it also now has a fuel programmer for another 500 bucks. And what that's done to the bike is absolutely nothing. It's still underpowered and it still leaves me wanting more power. Continuing the rant, let's move on to suspension. Compared to a DR650 for instance, this thing's suspension is light years ahead. Fully adjustable front and rear suspension, it's got inverted front forks, and honestly it'll probably be perfect if you're doing dual sport. If you've just got the bike stock at 135 kilograms and you're just slapping a backpack on your back, some water and heading out, it's going to be fine. But as soon as you put it into an adventure bike configuration like I have, you've slapped on a bigger tank at the front, you've got the front fairing, you're going to have pannier racks, all those things start to add weight, and sooner or later this thing's 10 kilograms heavier than stock. You're then going to put all your travel items on the back, which is going to add another 20 kilograms to the bike, and to be honest, the suspension just is completely undersprung for that. You basically bought yourself a pogo stick. So that really is something you need to pay attention to and upgrade if you really want to do those harder tracks, harder adventure tracks, and you're really serious about it. I, for some reason, have still not done my suspension, and I'll be honest with you, halfway into a day of a trip, I'm kicking myself thinking, why am I spending money on all this other crap when this is the main issue of the bike? So go ahead and get yourself some upgraded front and rear suspension. Alright guys, enough of that rant. Let's get into the positives, and let me keep it quick because everyone likes a quick video, because there are quite a few positives. This thing's a cockroach. It's completely reliable, service intervals are huge, it's going to get you to the adventure and it's going to get you back, it's not going to let you down. You have complete peace of mind that when you hit that start button, it's going to start every time. It's lightweight. If we look at a KTM 690 for instance, KTM 690 is about 160 kilograms wet, right? Not dry, wet. This is 135 wet. This is around the same as a DRZ 400. If you want to go lighter, you're looking at a KTM 500 EXC at about 110 kilograms wet, but then you're completely enduro bike at that stage, right? Now, why is lightweight so good? Well, for instance, with this, matched to the modern, well, sort of modern technology on this motor being fuel injection, I get 3.5 liters per 100, which means with my 18 liter IMS tank, I get a 400 kilometer range, which is just bloody incredible. As well as that, in the hard stuff, it's fun. Now, don't get me wrong, you see videos of Chris Birch and that on their big bikes, on their big KTMs, smashing it through hard trails, but most of us aren't Chris Birch. And this bike will mean you're going to have fun in those hard situations, rather than shitting yourself on a big 1250 GS going through some gnarly stuff, just hoping you don't drop it because it's going to take 3 people to pick it up. This thing's going to push you to want to go faster. Lastly, it's cheap. In Australia, at least, it's around $8,000. Now, a new KTM 690 in Australia is now, I think, $18,000. So you can get 2 of these plus some extras for the price of one KTM 690. Obviously, they're slightly different bikes, but I mean, $8,000, it's a bargain. It is a bargain. Okay guys, let me summarize this bike quickly. If you're watching this and you haven't bought a WR yet, you're obviously wanting me to tell you why I like this bike and why I've kept it, even though I think it's completely underpowered. I've owned it for over a year, done over 10,000 kilometers on it, and there have been some big trips and some small trips within that 10,000 kilometers. Let me use the Simpson Desert Crossing for an example. For those not in Australia, it's a desert trip where you have 600 kilometers 600 kilometers between point A and B fuel stops. And of that 600 kilometers, I'd say probably 400 are complete desert dune riding. Now, I only took 10 liters extra on the back of this bike to complete that trip. So I was only running 28 liters to do 600 kilometer range. And that's amazing, right? And considering that's some deep sand in between, that is amazing. And that's just what this bike lends it to itself. It's a light bike. You don't have to carry as much fuel. As long as you keep your camping gear light, you're gonna be having that much more fun doing that kind of remote riding. And you have the peace of mind of knowing this thing's not gonna break down on you. So I basically, from day one, thought, sweet, I've got 600 kilometers of hard riding. I'm not gonna be let down. I'm gonna get to point B. Let me just have bloody fun, right? If I was on a bigger bike, for instance, if you're thinking of maybe a 690 or even a KTM 790, I'm pretty sure the amount of extra fuel you'd have to take on that, if that thing fell on you, you're not getting up. You're waiting for somebody to come and help you out. And that's what's awesome about this bike, is you can just rely on it. If you drop it, you're gonna get back up and just keep on riding. You have a smile on your face. You know you're gonna get there. It's just brilliant in that respect. So that's why I love this as a remote adventure bike. If you're doing day trips or weekend trips and you only need a 200 kilometer range, then I'd look at something else probably. This isn't a highway kilometer munching bike either. I wouldn't want to sit on this bike for 1,000 kilometers going straight on a tarmac road to get somewhere. I'm not interested in that. I'll put it on the back of my Ranger and drive it up, right? For me, this bike, it's great to go out for a day in this kind of environment where there's enduro bikes everywhere around, you know, there's some harder tracks. But really what gets me going is going somewhere where I know I'm not going to see people for 2 days and I'm going to have to rely on this bike for a massive amount of kilometers. And this bike does that perfectly. And that's why I love it, and that's why I'm going to keep it. But having said that, I might buy a third bike. I just can't decide on what I want, but I'm probably going to buy a third bike. That will have more power. So if I want to go do more road riding or just day trips where there's going to be tarmac stints, I'm going to have more of a smile on my face. This bike, I want to get to the dirt as soon as I can and stay on the dirt as much as I can. I want the flip side of that. I want a bike where, yeah, it'll have fun and be capable in the dirt, but I can also have fun on the road. Anyway, I hope that's helped. If it hasn't helped you, feel free to ask about anything. I'll answer them in the comments. I do have a video up on my channel of all the modifications I've done to this bike. And if you think I did a completely shit job, which I won't be offended if you do, dislike this video. Anyway guys, I'm going to get back out into it and I'll catch you guys later.